of all, let me apologize to all of you for my sore throat. I am recovering from a flu, but I've also been spending quite a bit of time outside, so smoke has kind of impacted that as well. So if I sound scratchy, sorry about that. As Randy mentioned, this is a very important announcement that we are making today. But before we do that, I want to acknowledge that we are gathered here on a Treaty 6 territory, the land of indigenous peoples, and it's so fitting that as we talk about immigration, that we talk also about the importance of being on a land that we have all been able to share and build our lives here together. Reuniting families is a key immigration priority for our government. Our government knows the importance of immigration and how immigration benefits Canada. We made a real great stride in increasing economic immigration so newcomers can come and contribute to Canada. Newcomer entrepreneurs help create jobs for Canadians, and newcomers help our economy grow from coast to coast to coast. Today, I'm glad to be discussing family reunification and how we are delivering on reuniting more families. Let me be frank, as Randy has mentioned. The immigration system we inherited from the previous government was broken. It was a system with large backlogs, extreme long processing times, and a gap in client services. We made a commitment to reunite more families, and we have worked diligently to improve the system. Here are some of the improvements we have made to reunite more families. We inherited a massive spousal sponsorship backlog of 75,000 and reduced that backlog to 15,000 by the end of 2017, an 80% reduction in that backlog. We also implemented a new 12-month processing time for spousal sponsorship applications, which is drastically lower than the previous government's processing time of over 24 months. We made a difference so spouses aren't waiting for years to be reunited with their loved ones. Another example is the previous government changed the definition of age of dependent to under 19, which kept many families apart. But our government increased it to under 22, which enables more families to be together in Canada, which means more younger people are coming to Canada. We also tackled the previous government's caregiver backlog of 62,000, which kept families separated for many years, and we eliminated 80% of that backlog, which is down to 12,000 now. This brings us to today's announcement on family reunification under the Parents and Grandparents Program. We recognize that families simply want to be together. Parents just want to be with the children and their grandchildren. Likewise, children benefit from the continued support of their elders. Studies have shown, for example, that as newcomers build a new life in Canada, those who are able to reunite with their loved ones integrate into Canadian society much more easily. Parents and grandparents often help care for children. For example, in increasing their parents' ability to work and study and to make a meaningful contribution to their communities. They also contribute financially to their family's household, either by helping to reduce childcare costs or directly through their own employment earnings. In other words, when immigrant families are able to stay together, they integrate into the Canadian society. Their integration to the Canadian society improves. Of course, this program is not just for newcomers to Canada. Canadian citizens may also wish to sponsor their loved ones from abroad. In reuniting Canadian citizens and permanent residents with their parents and grandparents, not only do we help these families to succeed, doing so also benefits our entire country. Parents and grandparents that are united with their families come from every corner of the globe, and they add to Canada's diversity and enrich our social fabric. As Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said, our diversity is our strength. Others may not value our diversity, but our government does. And we know parents and grandparents are a benefit to Canada. The previous government only accepted 5,000 applications under the Parents and Grandparents program. We made a promise to double the intake, and one of the first things we did as a government was to keep that promise. We increased the number of applications from 5,000 to 10,000. Also, we would like to update you as of spring. Also, I would like to update you that as of spring 2018, through the first round of application intake, we have received approximately 10,000 complete applications. We always look for ways to improve, and after a careful review, we saw there's a high demand for this program. And we want to help reunite more families. So just recently, we increased the intake to 17,000 applications for this year. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to announce that in 2019, there will be another increase, and we will accept 20,000 applications under the Parents and Grandparents program. This increase is possible thanks to the fact that we largely eliminated the backlog of parents and grandparents applications. In 2011, the previous government had a backlog that peaked at 167,000. As of June 2018, we have reduced it to just under 26,000. We have reduced the backlog by 84%. And this brings me to our final announcement about this program. After listening to stakeholders and examining the program, in 2019, we will no longer randomly select potential sponsors to submit their applications. Instead of randomly selecting potential sponsors to apply, we will now invite them to submit the interest to sponsor form online, and we will accept them in the order that we receive them until we reach the cap of 20,000. This is a fair first-in program that will benefit all those interested. As in the previous 2 years, the interest to sponsor form will open online at the beginning of the year, so that potential sponsors can let us know if they wish to submit an application. We're working on the necessary changes to the application intake process, enhancing the interest to sponsor form so applicants are made aware of what are the requirements to sponsor prior to submitting, streamlining access to the program, and improving client experience. We will have more details about these improvements to the application system later this fall. So friends, we're very proud of our achievements, but there's more work to be done. In just a few years, we have largely eliminated the backlog of applications, have made substantial improvements to the parents and grandparents sponsorship process. And now, by accepting even more applications this year and the next, we will be enhancing the intake system. The Government Canada is further demonstrating our commitment to help families live, work, thrive together in Canada. Our government recognizes the important role that parents and grandparents play in our society. And I'm very glad that we are now able to reunite even more families under this program. Thank you so much. Now we'll open for questions.
This backlog, were there staffing additions, or how were you able to handle this? And are we going to see even more staffing as you increase the intake?
As I have mentioned in my remarks, in 2011, there were 167,000 applications to be processed. Through adding more resources and streamlining some of the internal processes, we have been able to reduce that backlog to 26,000. That increases the capacity of the immigration system to actually take in more applications without adding more resources. That's how we're dealing with it.
Well, Abby, can I get you on pipelines?
Of course we can.
The U.S. gave the all clear on the Kinder Morgan sale. NEB gave its go-ahead. When are we going to start seeing work? When are we going to start seeing this go?
Well, the work on Trans Mountain expansion has been proceeding from the day we gave approval in December of 2016. It was only halted for a number of months when the situation in BC was after the change of the government. And we're working very diligently with all stakeholders. I can tell you that all the preparatory work that is necessary to lay the pipe in the ground is happening. As you can appreciate, and those who are close to the private sector will understand that a large infrastructure project such as this requires a lot of preparatory work. So land is being assembled, the work campsites are being prepared, the sites to store pipe are being prepared, and all the necessary work on the permits are being done, and all the permits that are necessary to start the construction have been issued or are in the process to be issued. This project is in the national interest, that's why we approved it. It will create close to 15,000 jobs, but also it will allow us to get our resources to non-US markets, which are very, very important as we see the situation that we have seen in the US for the last number of months. It's very important that we diversify our global market, and will allow us to get a better price. So this project is proceeding. It will continue to proceed and we will get this project done.
I believe in your last update, Kinder Morgan said that the cost of it's gone up, the construction cost has gone up. And at what point do we start getting concerned about the numbers here?
I think we will know the cost when we close all the contracts with the contractors. What I can tell you that not building this project is not an option for our government, because this project is so much important, not only for Alberta, but for the entire country. Having our resources landlocked and losing $15 billion each year in potential revenue that we can generate by diversifying our markets is unacceptable for our government. Unfortunately, the previous government talked a lot about pipelines, but failed to build a single pipeline to Tidewaters or to get our resources to non-US markets. We are committed to this project, and the project is being built, and it will be complete.
Another year on the construction timeline. There are Albertans out there that are concerned that the finish line keeps moving on this. What assurances are there that, okay, it's going to be on the new timeline to get completed?
The vast majority of Albertans that we interact with, and we do that a lot, we spend a lot of time, both Randy and I, we spend a lot of time in our communities here in Alberta. I was in Calgary for last 2 days. I went to Red Deer, into Lethbridge, into April. Everywhere we go, we talk about this, the importance of this project, and Albertans understand that our government is going to get it done. But unfortunately, there are vested interests out there in Alberta whose political, I would say, life or political advancement is dependent on us not building this project, which is very, very unfortunate. But we are committed to getting this done, and I hope that Albertans would understand that depoliticizing this project is in the best interest of Canada. And those who want to continue to politicize this project are not thinking for the best interest of Albertans or Canadians.
I have a question on the immigration file.
Yes.
No, that's okay. I'm speaking to some people in our newer communities. They say that Minister Hussein promised them about a year timeline for family reunification, but now they've been waiting, some of them, for more than 2 years. So today's announcement sounds really good, but what would you say to those families who've been waiting a long time?
So when we took over, the spousal application processing time was more than 2 years. We reduced that to 12 months. So vast majority of the cases are actually processed within 12 months. If there are complications around specific cases, then it takes a little longer, right? But normal cases that don't have any further due diligence that needs to be done are processed within 12 months.
What do you mean by complications?
It depends on the history, because every case is unique, right? Every case has a unique history and a unique characteristics. That's why those are assessed under, there further assessment needs to be done. Sometimes there are more reviews to be done on the background checkups, and also the clearance that is required. But simple cases, I think our targets 80% of the cases should be cleared within 12 months, and we're meeting that target.
Do you know what the percentage is on the upper end then of 2 years or longer?
That I don't know, but what I know is that 80% of the cases are actually cleared within 12 months time frame.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sutton.
Yeah.
One more pipeline question. We're getting an update on line 3 in Saskatchewan today.
Yeah.
That one seems to be going full bore. It's nice to have at least one pipeline going without any headaches, without any drowning.
I was in Manitoba last week to break ground on the last segment